another review on my project. So I've received some suggested updates from my tutor about the project, and he included two potential jump scripts. One of them is jumping current version 2 and alternative jump. Now, because the alternative jump script looks very impressive and it's clear he put a lot of work into it, I tested it to check if it does what it's supposed to, and unfortunately I didn't find it to work. And there's two reasons for that. The first one is, this is the one we have enabled at the moment, is I can just indefinitely jump. And I can just keep doing this ad nauseam, and where's the player? The player is somewhere up there. It's falling back to the ground. There you go. But the landing check doesn't work. And if I add the state, which does that, so I can no longer just hammer away at the jump, then the jetpack doesn't work. Well, I mean, I think the jetpack never worked, but there's a check here. Yes, so button pressed, jetpack time, add jetpack force. And for some reason, none of this works if I just add this state here that checks for the jetpack, even though the jetpack state itself should never even flow to here if I'm jetpacking. So as you can see, get button, jump, pressed, jetpack time, goes to jetpack time, add jetpack force. It simply it looks for get button up, okay? So it doesn't look for button down or anything like that. So it should just add the force. Again, buttons not coming up, so that it should not stop jetpacking. Buttons not coming up, so all of these states could flow through here, but none of them do because I hold the spacebar down. So it should just jetpack like that. You can even see it doing its thing, flowing through all these states, flashing green, and yet my model's not doing any kind of jetpacking. So that's clearly something that doesn't work here. So I would need to set this back to him again to say, I'm sorry Carl, this one doesn't work. But we're not going to do that because the other one works, unlike this one. So we're simply going to disable alternative jump. I'm going to delete this to make sure that we leave it untouched. And we go back to jumping current version 2. Now this does do what it's supposed to. We have several problems with this one as well. So as you can see right here, it does what it's supposed to. He also added an additional functionality where if I hold down space, it will also begin jetpacking, which is neat. There's a couple issues with this one. The first one is that the jump, well, I'm sure as part of the process to get the script right, he had to change the jump properties. So if I re-enable my, where is it? My old jump script, you can see that the jumping here is quite crisp, right? So it goes up quick, it comes down quick, and it's very, very deliberate, okay? At the moment it goes up a bit too high, but that's probably because something I was fixing or something he was fixing. But either way, I like how fast it goes, and his one, his script, if I just re-enable that one and disable mine, I mean the jetpack works, that's great. The jump itself, however, is very floaty, very slow, right? So as you can just see the difference there. If I'm just jumping, all right, I'm trying not to jetpack at all. Whoa, whoa. I managed to break something there. I didn't even realize that this could. I don't know what exactly has happened there, but it did. So let's see. Jumps, and I'm just tapping jump to make sure I don't accidentally jetpack. So if I just tap the jump, it comes up and stays in the air for a very long time, and it's kind of slow. For a fast-paced platformer that this game is intended to be, this jump it wouldn't be appropriate. I'm going to show you what I think would be a more appropriate jump. Or what I was aiming for with the original jump script. It's just gonna be a second until the game can be loaded up. while Steam is loading, an additional problem that I've observed is to do with the slider he set up. So you can see the value here, which is set to 100. Now, if I start jetpacking for whatever reason, it jumps down to 60, and then it goes down in intervals of 20, which is odd, because if we go to his jetpack script, the way it starts is it sets the fuel to 100. Yeah, that's fine. And if we start using, it takes 20. But for some reason on the first tick it takes 40. So let's look at that again to see why that might be the case. So we're right here. That's on 100. I can even look at it to make sure. Yes, it is. It's set to 100. So if we go back to the player, so for whatever reason, when I start using my fuel, it immediately takes off 40, which is odd. And I don't exactly know why. Maybe it's because it flows through this state so quickly. But yes, for some reason on the first tick it takes 40. Which actually isn't bad for jetpack time, because if it only took 20, I would have 5 seconds of jetpack instead of the intended 4 seconds. The problem is that it just makes it looks bad on the slider, because the player would look at this and think, why am I losing such a big chunk of jetpack just for activating it? You know, it wasn't supposed to have this big initial cost. Now there will be a limiting factor that you can only use jetpack if it's at least half full, to make sure people can't just, you know, use this domain and hover pretty much indefinitely. Well, not indefinitely, but for a very long time. But yeah, this is not, because again it just looks bad for the player. As a player, I wouldn't understand what is happening here, and so let me just go to my library real quick and find the impossible game. There we go. So if we just go to this one, you can see, obviously this is a different game for sure, but you can see that the jump is very precise and deliberate. You know, you go up quick and you come down quick. Now with the Carl's style floaty jump, and again I'm not trying to write this up to him, I'm sure he did hard work and he didn't know exactly my specifications for jumping. I didn't share these videos with him, so he doesn't know exactly what I was aiming for, and he was just trying to fix my project, and he did a good job with that. It's just that I'll have to address the specific code. This is actually hard to play while I'm talking. Yes, but I'll have to make the jump more similar to this, because that floaty jump wouldn't work for this particular kind of gameplay experience. So yeah, that's the next thing I'll have to address, is to, you know, introduce my specific kind of jumping into his script and attempt to marry the two approaches together.